This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hello, it's Brooke Devard from Naked Beauty. Join me each week for unfiltered discussion about beauty trends, self-care journeys, wellness tips, and the products we absolutely love and cannot get enough of. If you are a skincare obsessive and you spend 20 plus minutes on your skincare routine, this podcast is for you. Or if you're a newbie at the beginning of your skincare journey, you'll love this podcast as well because we go so much deeper than beauty. I talk to incredible and inspiring people from across industries about their relationship with beauty. You'll also hear from skincare experts. We break down lots of myths in the beauty industry. If this sounds like your thing, search for Naked Beauty on your podcast app and listen along. I hope you'll join us.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Niall and Niall podcast. I'm going to assume you were already with us for the songs of 2024 because it is the second of our trilogy of best of episodes. I'm Niall and Niall, and with me, of course, is Andrea Cleary. Hi, Andrea.
Hello. Hi.
Andrea, Christmas version is here, ready to talk about the albums that we loved this year after we did songs on the last episode. So we're going to discuss a selection box again of kind of our favorite records, and then kind of probably decide on we have one that we have in mind that is the winning, or the winning, but the top album that we'll discuss at the end.
The Niall and Niall podcast official album of the year will be announced.
And in the meantime, you know, there's lots of albums. I've put up the Irish albums of 2024 list. So there's 25 on that, plus another 25 if you're looking to see the full list. I want to talk about a couple of those today, but I'm going to talk about mostly international records as well. So I might kick off this one with an album from a Guatemalan, Mexico City avant pop artist who has been playing in Ireland every now and again with Foggy Notions. Mabe Fratti is the name of the artist. She's a cellist and singer, and I was really impressed with her fourth album, which is called Center Que No Sabes, and I don't know what that means, but I really like what I'm hearing, and I'm going to play a bit from, first of all, the opening track, which was the one that really hooked me in. It's called Kravitz. And so let's have a listen to a bit of Mabe Fratti.
Otro lado de la pared, quizás alguien está del otro lado de la pared. Conoce mis reacciones para darme instrucciones.
That's Mabe Fratti. The album is called Sentir que no sabes. I needed to Google translate that. Yeah, she's Guatemalan, based in Mexico City. The album was recorded between Mexico City and the Netherlands as well, actually. And yeah, a few other places. It's been described as high gloss pastelorism, whatever that means. The sound of a city-bound post-modern soulscape, perhaps. I really like it. It's very it's experimental, but it's also very accessible. It's a record with a flair for the dramatic. I think the cello is a very dramatic instrument anyway. And I like her vocals here. It was written and recorded with her partner, multi-instrumentalist and co-composer Hector Tosta. So the two hunkered down in their studio and bashed this out and worked on the details until things became inevitable. One of those ones I just responded to a lot and came back to, and it felt like in a year where I had a lot of albums that I listened to from artists that I was already familiar with, I felt like this year, this was one of those ones where it was like, here for me was a brand new artist who I hadn't known anything about and who I got into their fourth record. And yeah, just really enjoyed it. So I'm playing another track here called Cueros Oh No.
Quiera solo si es un desastre. Quiera solo si es. Quiera solo si es un desastre. Quiera solo es un desastre. Quiera solo es un desastre. Quiera solo si es. Quiera solo si es un desastre.
Yeah, Mabe Fratti is being compared to Arthur Russell, perhaps definitely because of the use of the cello, which Arthur Russell is well known for. And yeah, I really liked a lot. Feel Like You Don't Know is the name of the record in English. She played here in Whelan's actually a few months ago. I didn't go for whatever reason. I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday. I'm always like Monday, Tuesday gigs. Find it extra hard to get out the door. And now with a 1-year-old at home, I'm like, oh God, I couldn't do it. But, I was okay with that as well. I'm sure it's good, but I'm happy enough with just enjoying this record as a recorded piece of music. And I've had a few of those this year where I've really enjoyed just the record, and I haven't been massively interested in seeing the artist. But that's Mabe Fratti, and that's her fourth album.
Great. The first album that I've chosen is Vampire Weekend's Only God Was Above Us. It was released on the 5th of April this year, and this is my favorite song from the album, Capricorn. An interesting album to think about in terms of kind of where it's landed at the end of the year. There doesn't seem to be much of a consensus. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here of the end of year rankings for the album. And, you know, it goes from like number 71 Pace magazine, 66 Uncut, number 3 in the Independent, number 7 in Time Out, number 98 in the 100 best albums of the 2020s so far from Pitchfork. So it seemed to be an album is sort of, you know, the people who like it really like it. And I guess, I don't know, its inclusion is there. Otherwise, you know, it didn't feel like it was as massive a Vampire Weekend album, even as much as, you know, Father of the Bride was in 2019. But I think that like this album, you know, I listened to it when it first came out, and then I sort of, I don't know, I put it on the back burner, not for any reason. I loved it actually. And I think I remember speaking highly of it when I covered it for one of the end of the month episodes. But then I didn't return to it for ages. And then I've returned to it in the past few weeks. And it really is one of the best albums of the year. You know, there's no holes I can poke in it. I think some of their best songs are on this album. And I like how they're sort of gesturing towards sounds of their past, you know, especially, you know, on Capricorn there. Could be directly off Modern Vampires of the City. So yeah, I think it's a really wonderful album. I'll play another song from it. This one is Mary Boone.
Not on the street yet, but it was cooking in those days, the better days, the one from Queens, not from Brooklyn. Oh my love, was it all in vain? We always wanted money, now the money's not the same. In a quiet moment at the theater, I could feel your pain. Deep inside the city, your memory remains. Mary Boone, I'm on the dark side of your room. Mary Boone, will I...
And, you know, this is the Vampire Weekend that I like very much. You know, I think that, you know, when you think about Father of the Bride, their most recent album before this one, it was a very warm album. And I liked it for that, but I like this kind of colder sound that they have. There's something mistier and foggier about it. There's something sort of, you know, you feel like you're walking along wrapping yourself in like a big duffel coat while you're listening to it. And maybe it's just starting to snow. It's a sound that they do like nobody else. I think it's both kind of cold and cozy at the same time. And I think, you know, and it is that Modern Vampires of the City sound. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think Ezra Koenig as a lyricist has always been, you know, incredible, but I think he's on this album very refined. His ideas are coming across very succinctly, and the whole band just sound like they're having, I don't know, just some kind of, you know, like there's a real step forward here in terms of like honing their sound and their ideas. And Rostam does come back for production credit on 6 songs, which is really nice to see that they're still on good terms. They're still making music. You know, we knew at the time, or we were at least told at the time, that everything was amicable with Rostam leaving the band, as devastating as it was for those of us who were really into his role in Vampire Weekend.
Yeah.
But it's so lovely that, you know, he comes back and you can feel him here. You know, he it's like he opened the door and he brought in that cold breeze with him. That sort of steely breeze. So yeah, Only God Was Above Us is one of my favorite albums of the year. The phrase, again, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here, but there was a headline, May 1st, 1988. There was an Aloha Airlines flight in which a structural failure caused the aircraft's roof to be torn off mid-flight. The phrase "Only God Was Above Us" was quoted from one of the passengers. It's a very nice quote. So yeah, it's a fantastic album, and yeah, don't sleep on it if you have been so far, listener, because it really, really is special.
Okay, that's Vampire Weekend. Only God Was above us. So next we have an album from Jessica Pratt. kind of beamed in from another world, perhaps.
We've both chosen this one. This is a choice of
the pitch.
The two of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Well, what will we play the first song? Because I think the first song is kind of it was the lead single, and it was the one that was maybe not that representative of a whole, but it does give you a sense of her scope that she has in her music.
That's Life Is from Jessica Pratt. A really, really just a special song from this year. There's something really special in that song. I think it is so, like, Brian Wilson comes to mind immediately.
Yeah.
Obviously that, kind of wall of sound thing as well. And like, just what a gorgeous sort of like circular melody. You can't help but just sort of like sway listening to it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, she's great. And so, like, it does feel like it's beamed in from another time. Almost everything about Jessica Pratt looks like it's coming from the past.
Yeah.
The simplicity in a lot of the other songs as well kind of give you that vibe. I remember when her debut album came out in 2012, it was very much like, felt like a California folk, San Francisco is where she's based, like Greenwich folk musician, kind of Laurel Canyon kind of music. It's all very like, it's simple. It's so effective. I think there's some great examples here of songs which, if anyone else sang them, they maybe wouldn't work as well, but because she has that kind of special feeling to her voice,
beautiful
that paired
voice
with just a guitar is just a bit special.
Yeah.
This morning I was listening to a song from the record called Empires Never Know. I'd like to play a tiny bit of that here. It's a short song.
Empires never know, never fall, ever grown to turning out to be a friend. And your beggar keeps a curfew at the door. All your fallacies are wasted in for and
Yeah, it's so delicate and so beautiful, and it's a powerful thing to have that kind of voice and to be able to do that with so little as well. But yeah, so evocative.
Yeah, it's a wonderful album. It's one of those that you can throw it on. I actually don't own the LP. I know you do because you were playing it before
recently, yeah.
our Vampire Weekend. No, Not Vampire Weekend. Vampire
Big Thief,
Empire
Big Thief.
by Big Thief. There's a connection there, I swear. Yeah, before the Big Thief listening party, you were playing it, and there was a lot of, there's a few people in a little bit early, just sort of sitting and swaying to it. It's very relaxing. It's a really lovely album to have on. I must pick it up. Yeah. Okay. I mean, from one beautiful.
Well, before we finish
singer,
that album, actually. Yeah, because I thought you might play the other song, but that's okay. I wanted to just shout out my pal Cormac, who loves this album so much. Right? He's a title listener, and he's always sending me title links. And the good thing about title links is that the title links show you the links of all the other streaming services in case you're not on it, because apparently we should all be using title, you know?
Yeah, so I hear. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, but he's always shown, so they have
Although
top
Jay-Z...
charts. Yeah, that's true. Actually, they have well, lots happening there. They have top charts on it, and he sent me screenshots, and he was like, "Look at my last few months. Every month was just like Jessica Pratt number one, Jessica Pratt number one." So he decided last month on a whim, the same week as her gigs in the UK, that he'd go, because she hadn't played here this time around, and there's no sign of her playing here. So. I'd imagine she'd be very much like a sugar club. I think she may have played a sugar club before. But anyway, he went over to Manchester. He was like, I've never been to Manchester. I'm going to go. Arrived. What happened? She cancelled the gig on the day because she had a cold or like couldn't sing, basically.
Yeah.
And so my friend Cormac was left there in Manchester going, what am I going to do? I've never been here. I'm going to go around. I was like, well, you can go. Me and another pal were kind of talking to him about like what he could do. And we settled on Warm Doucher were playing. So he went to see Warm Doucher. But before he did, he was in his hotel and leaving on the way to the gig. And he was just leaving and closing the room, and he heard this American voice, and he looked over across the hallway, and there was Jessica Pratt in one of the bedrooms coming, like accepting an order or taking food in from somebody. And he just went, Jessica Pratt.
Oh no.
And she looked frightened, and then went,
of course.
And then he went, I'm really sorry you had to cancel your gig. And she was like, thanks. And then just disappeared. I was like,
quite rightly.
I'm sure. But it was a pretty what are the chances that the person you're going to see the gig of who's cancels is actually staying in the exact same hotel as you and is on the same floor opposite your room?
Yeah.
Like he's obsessed with the album. Obsessed.
That's so funny. Oh, bless him. I don't think I would have been able to handle that as well as he did.
For sure.
I can see the cat there in the background on the...
Yeah.
Which cat is this?
This is Bua.
Bua. Diagwich Bua. Say hello to the listeners. Amazing. Okay. So yeah, from one beautiful voice and excellent guitar playing to another. This is Adrienne Lenker, Bright Future. And since we didn't play it in the songs of the year, and I know that it's your favorite song from the album, this is Fool.
Great.
Heart out of sight, body like a bat in flight. Oh, they say when it's right, it's right. We could be friends. You could love me through and through. If I were him, would you be my family too? Daddy's advice. Hell in paradise, mama's advice, looking at the beans and rice. So just say what it is that you want. Tommy had twins and Louis.
Lovely.
Absolute joy. Yeah, what a wonderful song, and I think, I talked about it a bit at the listening party, but like I've just started experiencing Adrienne Lenker's music through the lens of like the inner child, and like just sort of noticing when it is that she's, I guess, connecting with her own inner child and participating in some kind of like self-healing via that. And I feel like Fool is a really nice song for that. Like even just the sound of it sounds so tactile and natural. Like it really does make you think about like the for me anyway, and this is hugely subjective, but it has this feeling of like, remember when you were a kid and all your toys had like real buttons on them, and like you're touching things, you're pressing things, and you're outside and you're crunching leaves and you're like drawing with chalk on the ground and stuff. There's just something so tactile about this song, and also so kind of like childishly optimistic and kind of wondrous. And I think that she balances that and leans into that really beautifully across this record, but I think particularly on that song. Yeah, but it's your favorite from the record, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I see what you mean there. Yeah, that kind of, I mean, she's so good at channeling that kind of childlike innocence and, singing about elbows and simple things that most people just can't really do. And it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot, just the tactility of toys, because of, I have a 1-year-old.
Of course.
And like, I was like, I don't remember when we were young, like this emphasis on sensory stuff, when you were young. But I was like, but actually what you said there about like crunching of leaves is kind of that, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we all remember that so well. Anyway, nothing to do with the song. Really,
but even just, things like more homes had carpet in them, and like more homes had wallpaper. Even the world around you, even like your tiny little world, was like that bit more tactile. I don't know. It's a very specific nostalgia that I have that is kind of evoked by that song. A World Without Screens is kind of what it sounds like. Another song that I've chosen from this album is Donut Seam, D-O-N-U-T, the American spelling of donut, but also a play on the phrase "don't it seem," which is very, very nice. So here's Donut Seam.
No, my heart has holes in it, and there you were exposing it, how I would lose my mind, to get lost only to find this whole world is dying. Don't it seem like a good time for swimming before all the water disappears? You came in like some good things do, out of nowhere, dream come true, and showed me things I never knew what it means to walk that line. And like a moth into the sun, I flew in front of everyone and burned up in the flame. Now it's pouring out.
Great. Adrienne Lenker, Bright Future. And
it came out in March, way back in March 22nd.
Way back, yeah.
Yeah.
The week before the Beyonce album dropped. There you go.
Who isn't featured here? Spoilers, everyone. What have you got next?
I picked one of the albums from my Irish albums list because I don't think we've really talked about this yet this year, and I wanted to have something that was a little bit fresher. So Bricknasty, we've talked about maybe before. They have an EP out called Zongs. So there was a lot of long EPs that were essentially albums this year that I felt were made the list. Certainly made my list anyway. The Roche Milan, which I talked about on the songs, the Queen of Song, talked about the album or the EP that it came from, is relevant there. There's a lot of others. Even that Jessica Pratt album was 27 minutes long.
Yeah.
So
was the Doji
short.
release a mixtape, or was that an album?
We can talk about that next week, defo, because it is a mixtape.
Yeah, I had a feeling, because I knew there was something about it kind of sort of not being an album.
Sorry, just accepting Christmas presents at the door from
fabulous.
DHL that aren't mine. Sorry. So I was saying, what was I saying?
Bricknasty.
Yeah. Bricknasty are a band who also released an EP, which could be considered an album. It's not really. I mean, these days the albums seem to be getting shorter because, a lot of albums or mixtapes or whatever you want to call it. Zongs is the name of their EP. Very much reminds me of Zig and Zag every time I say it. 9 songs, 25 minutes, 24 minutes. But I think if you've heard In a Crueler from 2023, you kind of know what the vibe is. Alt jazz, alt R&B. I think these guys are so interesting, weaving like interesting kind of diaristic what's going on in their lives, particularly the singer Fat Boy, who comes from an adverse background as well as, and talks about it on this EP. Lots going on in terms of real life stuff, real heavy stuff. But what Bricknasty do is they bring this kind of transcendental kind of vibe to their jazzy soul music, but also a lot of fun, a lot of playfulness. They said that this EP, short album EP, covers the band's journey through loss, recovery, and the embrace of the unknown since the last release they had out. There's lots of stuff going on here for these 9 tracks. I wasn't going to play this, but I might play this one here because this is the one that I was super impressed with. It's very rare that you hear somebody channel D'Angelo in a way that makes like total sense, not least an Irish band. So this is Bricknasty and Abby Coulibaly with a song called Gas. There's a number of people on this record who are contributing vocalists, Femi, Abby Coulibaly, Shiv, and Oscar Jerome. So I played this Gas tune first.
My name's Bill Bob, yeah. I'm looking for a nice woman. I throw kettlebells around left, right and centre every day. It's like me. I'm only up out bed now, no. Wait to see me when I'm fresh.
Yeah, there's a sense of possibilities always in their music because of how they play it, and they are considered like they played with Abby Coulibaly when she supported Coldplay in Croke Park this summer, and they are a backing band. They're the kind of band that like could turn up on any show and play any amount of songs. They seem to be the kind of band who could just play anything. And they played with Shiv for her album launch as well, The Defiance of a Sad Girl, which is one of the albums that I included as well in the lists of the Irish albums of the year. But she's also features, I think, uncredited on this track for whatever reason on Spotify, but Reprise is the name of the track. There's just some lovely kind of in the pocket stuff happening here as well. Yeah, that's for Bricknasty and Zong's Boyfriend from that is another track. All the singles are great from that record. I decided not to play the singles on that case, but yeah, Bricknasty and Zong's, I feel like that's going to be their vibe now. It's kind of like releasing mixtapes every year. That's on FAM, which is Maverick Saber's label. He's a big fan of them, and yeah, I really love what's going on there and what's happening with Bricknasty, so shout out to them.
Great. Father John Misty, Mahash Mashana, obviously, you know, November 22nd. November 22nd. A late edition, the same day, obviously, as Kendrick's album. So he kind of just made it in there in time for the lists. And I can't get enough of the opening track. So here's Mahash Mashana.
He hadn't had a single drink yet. There's no mistaking what you a perfect life can live forever. The truth don't fare as well. It isn't perched on lips mid-laughter. It ain't the kind of thing you tell. Like there's no baby in the king cage. Like there's no figure on the cross. They have gone the way of all flesh, and what was found is lost. Yes, it is. 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 Yes, it is.
So, for anyone who remembers the Father John Misty episode that we did earlier in the year, I was talking a lot in that episode about the sort of like this cycle that he seems to be on, you know, and kind of album by album that I think is coming to an end with this album, or maybe looping back around in a way. His early albums were very much concerned with the ego. And then it's sort of, or like, sorry, so firstly, it's like the abandoning of religion, and then the abandoning of the self. And then what actually happens when you abandon the self, you turn back to religion kind of for some answers. And here he seems to be abandoning it again, or rather kind of feeling that everything is abandoned, and kind of wondering or describing what the world is like when it has been abandoned by the stories that we've created to sort of like soothe ourselves. I think that's kind of what's going on this album, and kind of like what gets left behind once kind of faith and hope and everything is gone. And it's not a surprising space for him to be in, given the year that's in it. He wasn't to know the result of the election that took place in November, but I'm sure even had it gone the other way, even the discourse of the past 4 years is enough to kind of feel that God has abandoned us. So along with everything else.
Didn't know we were religious here on our podcast.
But you know, it's yeah. And I mean, I think that I always find him I'm always interested to hear what he has to say about faith.
Yeah.
And because I mean, like I said on the episode, I don't know what it's like to grow up truly believing, you know. I think I quote unquote stopped believing in God before I stopped believing in Santa Claus, you know, like it was a very early sort of realization for me. And I just have I'm very grateful that he put so much of that experience and the lifelong experience of unpacking the things that are learned in childhood, whether it's religion or whether you grow up in a very wealthy family who kind of, you know, seeks like success, and you're forced to go to business school, and, you know, the sort of like the learned spiritual behaviors of children. I think that's all over this album, and it's just wonderful. Like it really, really is. He is. Oh, you know how I feel about him. Here's another song. This one is actually I chose, I guess, Time Just Makes Fools of Us All, but maybe if you don't mind, I might change that, because we had listened to it in the other episode. Let's do Screamland. Which is an interesting song. Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like, how long can you love someone for the weakness they conceal? Stay young. Keep dreaming. Love must find a way after every desperate measure, just a miracle will take. Love must find a way. Love must find a way.
So definitely a surprising sound on a Father John Misty song. The first time I heard it, I was like, okay, he's doing something here. He's taking the piss out of someone with this chorus, with this kind of big pop moment. And then looking into it, it seems that he spoke to Zane Lowe about it and said that there's this sort of, this group called Hillsong Worship, and they are a Christian sort of pop outfit that do, they play in these, those like mega churches in the US that'll have 12 different performers out, and people are so moved by the music that they, can pretend they can feel this sort of, euphoria. It reminded me of this tweet I saw once, this girl saying, I used to think I believed in God, but then I went to see, I think it was like a Taylor Swift concert or something. I went to see a big pop concert in a stadium, and I was like, oh no, it was just the music. It was just the music that I was into and moved by. So, he's evoking that there in this big chorus, which is extremely out of place sonically with the rest of his work, but thematically, it actually really does kind of fit in there. It's such an interesting place to go. I had a bit of a listen to I think it was like Best Praise Songs Collection 2020 something or whatever. I couldn't get through much of it, but it very much is that huge sound, massive. You are a Christian group with like major proper sound system, It was very interesting, but yeah, I think that song was a real grower for me, and now I love it. Now I love when I get to it.
Yeah, me too.
Even if when the chorus comes in, I do wince a bit because I feel a bit like I don't know. It does have that sort of like generic big sound. But of course, he doesn't do anything without making it clever. So yeah, that's Mahash Mashana by Father John Misty. Absolutely one of my albums of the year and a late entry. And I'm just so glad he's back, and I'm so glad he's playing here, and I have a ticket, and I can't wait.
Nice. Okay, my next choice is my Irish album of the year, as deemed on the website. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen that list yet. This was the one that it just grew and grew and grew in stature. I was so impressed by what was going on this debut album. It is from Curtisy, the Tala rapper. I said it was the sound of a rapper operating a full tilt. I'm so surprised that this guy only started rapping about 3 years ago. He's just so good at like rapping. He's so good at it. But not only that,
Put simply, he's very good at rapping.
Yeah, I mean, you can be good at rapping, but it often doesn't work out that like you have really good songs or good productions that go with it.
That's very
your
true.
Debut record, and some really great stuff here. A lot of like Rory Sweeney is involved, as he is with a lot of the records that are high up in my charts this year. The likes of Dump, Walshy and Hickey also are on it. Ahmed with Love, his bro, who's also had a really good mixtape called Comma Full Stop. Lonely Chap as well. But really, it's all about Curtisy and the voice and the way that he raps. I love that he talks about his upbringing, and he talks about, the difficulties of being are we destined to repeat the predilections of our parents, and if we are estranged from those parents, like, are we destined to repeat the cycles? All these kind of things. They're like subtly referenced in the album, that there are difficulties at home that aren't quite to the forefront, but there's enough in the lyrics to suggest that, there's a deeper thing happening here, as well as being some very funny lines as well. And also just like almost the onomatopoeia, or the way that some of the lines land are just so perfect in the syllables and all. I'm going to play Landmine first from the record, give you a sense of what I'm talking about.
I said I wouldn't, but cautious getting did again. I'm the problem where I think I need some different friends. I thought it was what it was until I flipped the lens. We were in them whips drinking, could've flipped the bands. Let me flip the mood. Please be careful about these rappers that you listen to. I got a text from the streets, replied I miss you too. She's wanting sex, but you know that I've been busy, Bill. You know I wanna hit it too, huh? You know I wanna be up in it. Feathers getting ruffled on, so I don't give a fuck with it. Promoter paid me, envelope had not enough in it. I'm gonna cut and go make sure that no one fucks with it anymore. I do me dance, I could mop up any floor. The plug told me he had pills, give me 4. It's round 5 and she told me give me more. This loud joint had me sinking in the floor. I'm down bad, don't eat dinner anymore. Hypochondriac, everything is sore. I'm not sleeping till everything is poured. Drank non-stop until me head is on the floor. I got it from me dad, so it's shit that I was destined for. Fuck it, then me hands tied. If there's beef, you should dead it, let it flatline. Stepping Timmy's like stepping on a landmine. Catch me looking scummy, making money off a landline. Now the core is coming, bro, I put it on me mom's life. This the wood, yeah, it's nothing like the last time. It's no toss, no fumbles, gonna grab mine. Yeah, I'm gonna grab it and go, you know. Guys a class act, now me status is pro. I stopped a half-ass rapper and I scattered the bones. I had half a panic attack at the start of the show. The bad bitch getting smacked, I'm gonna be marching at home. Look, I live a funny life, lad, I'm laughing alone.
I live a funny life, lad, I'm laughing alone. There's loads of those kind of lines in there that are like, speak to the greater like issues of a young man growing up in Tala and talking about his mental health, talking about, you know, voices that he has. There's a song called Lower Your Hopes, spells it out. He grew up in Jobstown, which he actually did a piece for the website earlier this year about growing up there and some of the places that he wanted to represent. He says, where I'm from, you're told to lower your hopes. And I just think there's lots of interesting lines in there, and there's really just, it's smart, it's funny. There's a I don't know, there's a feeling to it that just keeps me coming back, and I'm like, I want to hear these lines again. I want to hear him rap again. He's prolific. He's so prolific in like all the other stuff as well. He did outside of this album as well this year. He's on so many different things. He's on
serial collaborator.
Yeah, he's on the Carlos Danger, Rory Sweeney, Irish Hash Mafia tape. He's on Ahmed with Love. He does a Fontaines. We interviewed him for the podcast a few weeks ago. So he does like a kind of almost his version of the Fontaines on the song with 10 Hail Marys. There's a kind of an Earl Sweatshirt influence here for sure on the beats and stuff like that. So you can definitely hear that, you know. And I just think he's so talented. He's so young in terms of like his rapping, and he really only started this during lockdown in like 2021 or something like that. And I think that's ridiculous because it's 3 years in and he's doing so many interesting things, and the album's brilliant. And they just released a deluxe version of it, which has a few more tracks on it. Comedy Jam, another great track. He's one of those guys who you're just like, this man just needs to rap and keep rapping, and that's all he needs to do. I'll play a track from the album called Mad at Me from the record as well.
Had to look inside myself like it's a cash scan. Nothing put inside myself, I never have scran. It's Tala on the map, man. I put Tala on me back, man. When the Tala gets so bad, man. I found me dad's bag, exposed to drugs too early. We were only rugrats, chap. You should've kept it on the raps, dad. Do you listen to the raps, dad? You know I miss you back, dad. Your son's trending, check the hashtag. I've been backstrapping hash in a hatchback. I'm acting calm, but do me ham and you can catch hands. I'm shaky, tapping toes like this is flash dance. I'm laughed at.
Yeah, that's Courtesy. What was the question? I think it's just a really smart rap album. It was easily, when I heard it, I was like, this is my Irish rap album of the year. I just really was into the Finch album as well, but this one just kind of took over, and then it became obvious to me in the summer. I was like, this might be my Irish album of the year, and it hasn't gone anywhere since then from the list. So
great.
Curtisy, What Was the Question? He's very prolific and lots of stuff coming from him as well. But do check that out if you haven't heard it. It's I think a lot of people probably haven't heard that album yet as well. So
great.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
We're down to our final 2 now, and we are both in agreement.
Well, I have one that's not on the playlist.
Oh,
so
you
we're down
do?
to
Sorry,
3.
you do. Okay, final 3 then. So this album and the album of the year that we've chosen at various points in the year, they swap places for me. It's no secret that I absolutely love this album. The album is Manning Fireworks by MJ Lenderman. I couldn't remember, was Wristwatch the song that you said was your favourite off it? I tried to put on your fave.
No, She's Leaving You, actually.
Oh, okay, let's do She's Leaving You then. Great song from a great album. That was very much the kind of the lead single from the album. She's Leaving You. I listened to this album so much this year, and every time I listened to it, I was happy I was doing it. There's not a song on it that I'd take off it. I think it's a really well sequenced album. I love the sort of the world that he's building. I can tell that he listens to and likes the same music as I do, which I always really appreciate in an artist. And I think his lyricism is smart and funny without being overly sort of winky at you. You know, I think Wristwatch is a really good example of that. Like you mightn't necessarily know when he's saying I've got a wristwatch that's a compass and a cell phone, that he's talking about his Apple Watch. You know, it's not he's not saying the word Apple Watch. It still feels like it could belong in another time, this song and these songs. And yeah, they're just like good classic country infused rock songs. You cannot go wrong with it. One of my favorites on it is the last track, which has so much fewer, I can't currently think of the right way to structure that. So much fewer listens, 807,000 compared to all the other ones have between 1 and 3 million listens or plays on Spotify. And I think it's because it's 10 minutes long. It is because it's 10 minutes long. It's just a normal song. And then it cuts into this sort of, instrumental thing at the end. But you don't need to listen to the whole instrumental thing. I very rarely do.
Maybe that's how these things count. You have to listen to the whole thing.
Maybe there's it's more percentage. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, I think those 807,000 ones are me. Anyway, this is Bark at the Moon, which is just great.
If he really did spend time wasting his time playing video games, at least he got a good song out of it.
Well, yeah, he's playing a Guitar Hero, so he's at least somewhat in the realm of music. I love that line. That's, I think, maybe there's a few from this album that I love, but I really love Never Seen the Mona Lisa, Never Really Left My Room. It's just a lovely it's a lovely sentiment that I'm sure a lot of people can kind of relate to, not being cultured and traveled and just sort of getting real good at just one thing that doesn't require anyone to be around you. Yeah, it's a wonderful album. Look, you don't need us to tell you. Everyone else has been telling you as well. One of those kind of breakthroughs this year that I think is just so well deserved. I'm really excited to see what he does from here, and I really hope he doesn't change too much because I think it's perfect as it is.
I feel like he should just stay the same.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think he's going to try and do anything too drastic.
No.
With that.
Manning fireworks, and it's the same except it's completely different.
Well, speaking of artists who are doing what they should be doing, the next album is from an artist who was just quietly doing this for a long time, and most recently released a over 2-hour album called Diamond Jubilee. The artist is Cindy Lee. Yeah, formerly of the band Women. The artist is Patrick Flegel, and has been creating these kind of interesting albums that are just these that have flown on the radar, relatively speaking. One of the reasons why, and this is the same for Diamond Jubilee, the albums haven't been on streaming platforms. They've either, with Diamond Jubilee, it was on his GeoCities website, or where else was it? On YouTube, really. And that was kind of it. And so earlier in the year, this album was talked about in hush circles at the start, and it became very loud in terms of people talking about it because it's a really, really great album. And it was one of the first albums this year where there was an element of hype to it, and the power of review, and this relatively obscure Canadian artist all of a sudden who performs in drag as Cindy Lee for the album as well, for the artist project. But the album was talked about, and there was a lot of discourse about it. And I know it turned a lot of people off, and people I know who were like, I didn't listen to that because I haven't heard it. And understandably, I understand why you haven't heard it, because sometimes when you hear so much about something, you're like, it can't be that good. But you know what? Diamond Jubilee by Cindy Lee is a brilliant, brilliant album. It's over 2 hours long. It's perfect. I'm still discovering it. It's not a perfect album, but it's a perfect one to delve into. I'm still listening to it constantly, still discovering it because it's so long. What it is over 2 hours of this kind of lovely guitar music. I think maybe because it's long, 69, the Magnetic Fields album, 69 Love Songs, it kind of has that feel to it sometimes. They're not short songs necessarily, But there's a lovely, the press release talks about this kind of sticky guitar riffs and stuff like that. It very much feels like it's beamed in again from this like a radio transmission from a band that you've never heard of, or a cassette that you found somewhere that you're like, what the hell is this? No one's ever heard of this. It has that feel to it. I'm going to play a couple of tracks from it. I mean, there's 32 songs on this thing.
Through my window, a silver moon, an open suitcase in an empty room. All I've got is the truth. All I want is you. I'm on the Greyhound. I'll hit the border soon. I just hope they'll take it easy and let me through. All I've got is the truth. All I want is you.
So that is All I Want Is You, one of the tracks from the first half of Cindy Lee's album. Very much like it's got a psychedelia to it. It's got inspired by girl group music, very much like classic 60s music. There's some synth pop and disco, and like it just feels like it's a really great playlist of songs of a band you've never heard.
Right up my street. I haven't heard this album, and it sounds like right up my street.
It's great. It's one of those ones to listen to over Christmas if you've not gotten near it yet. I think it's like, I had it on again last night and I was just like, this is so good. Like, it's such a good album. It's so good, but it's like, because it's so long, I'm still listening and still discovering it. And I was like, I wonder where, because when you're listening to it, I often end up listening to, I pre-ordered the album on vinyl, which won't arrive till February. So I don't know what the tracks are when I'm listening to them half the time. I'm like,
right.
I played them off of YouTube. There's one long 2-hour YouTube link, or there's somebody has divided up in 32 songs. For somebody like myself who loves Last FM, shout out to Last FM. I like to know that I've been listening to 32 songs as opposed to one song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Does your Last
I've been
FM
logging them.
Scrabble your YouTube listening?
I figured it out recently. Yeah, you can do that.
I didn't know you could do that.
There's a way of doing it.
And can you connect like YouTube music to it?
Yeah, I think you can do anything as long as if it's played in the browser or whatever, whatever. There's a way of doing it.
Finally, Joanna Newsom will be reflected in my end of year. my YouTube music on my phone is basically my
if
Joanna
only you
Newsom
could Scrabble
app.
your vinyl, that'd be it. That'd be handy, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's I'm just, one of the reasons why it's so high in my list is because I'm still in it. I'm still discovering it. And I'm still, every time I go to it, so last night I was putting together this like tower thing for the kid, and it's just like a thing he stands on. And I listened to this while I was doing that. I was like, I don't know where I am in the album. And I went to check and I was like, okay, song's called Realistic Heaven. I was on track 16 of 32. I was like, Jesus, I've listened to that for an hour already and I'm nowhere near I'm halfway. I'm not just about halfway. So there is so much to discover. Here's another track called Stone Faces, which kicks off disc 2 from the record. Like I said, there's so much to discover here. I could jump into another song called Darling Up the Discotheque for 30 seconds and have a listen. As you can hear, what is common in throughout is this lovely guitar work, and I think that's what Patrick Flegel, Cindy Lee is a lot about, really. It's almost like this perfect like playlist album. It's like a perfect little self-contained album as playlist kind of thing. Like kind of feel, because it doesn't feel like it's. It kind of has a different feel to it. Like it's an album, but it feels like a playlist in as well because of so many songs, and then it feels like, they're quite small and they're like self-contained, and I just love it. I just love it. You can hear all the things that are happening there. I think it's one that I'm still discovering, and interestingly as well, I don't think Cindy Lee, Patrick Flegel was actually delighted about some of the critical acclaim the album got. A couple of the gigs and stuff that they did earlier this year, they were saying stuff that suggested that they weren't happy about this newfound attention. So I guess watch out for that. And we'll
sorry for featuring you.
A little bit like that, but like I think they said they felt like a caged animal or something. I was like, okay, but regardless, the album is great. It actually is on Bandcamp as well now, so you can listen to it there as well, finally there, so that is good. But that is Cindy Lee and Diamond Jubilee. But now
the time has come.
The time has come.
The album of the year.
Time to change your colours, to change all your colours to the one colour. We're going into a bright lime green, of course. The album of the year is Pratt. It is Pratt, and it's completely different, but it's also Pratt. It is Pratt, but whatever the other title is, with
there's 3 extra songs. Pratt, and it's the same, but there's 3 extra songs, so it isn't. Which actually is my album of the year. Is that one?
It has to be that one,
which is the one that has guests on it. And there's 3 versions of this album, and yet it didn't feel like we were being attacked on the daily with a new edition to buy. Funny that. That's Taylor Shade. Sorry, Taylor. So Charli XCX, Pratt, what a year.
We did a big podcast about Pratt, episode 253, if you want to go back, with Kelly Doherty, about all things Pratt, just as this was coming out. But I don't think anyone could have seen, and we certainly couldn't have seen, the scope and scale by which Charli's Pratt expanded to, how it became this huge pop culture phenomenon. Genuinely something that doesn't feel like it happens that often. Not that Charli, obviously it's not a new artist breakthrough. Charli, we've said this before, Charli is the artist we wanted this to happen to. We knew
the most. Yeah.
She always had this album in her, and every time she released an album, whether it was Pop 2 or whatever, I was like, come on, Charli, just release that album of absolute clubby bangers you have, because I know when Charli made music with Sophie, it was really you can do this and you're absolutely brilliant at it. And she just kind of flirted with it a bit, and sometimes I think there's all that music industry machination stuff. Crash was probably the closest she got to before that, but that definitely felt like it was trying to fit a mold. And this time around, what was great about Pratt and some of the albums we've had this year is that when an artist truly sat down and decided to go, right, I'm just going to represent myself, I'm going to do what I want to do, I'm going to make what I want to make. She started this year sharing all these viral ideas that apparently her record label had come up with, Charli dressing as Anna Wintour at the Met Gala, all this kind of stuff. So I think there was always this feeling with Charli that she was fighting a little bit of a losing battle against her label and against the music industry as a whole, because the music industry wanted all the artists to be on TikTok and do all this kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, she's always trying to keep that at the back of her mind. But I think with Pratt, she finally, Charli leaking a sex tape was one of the ideas. Yeah.
I think for me, it's Pratt it was the coalescence of the perfect time in her life to release an album like this, because I know it is an album of club bangers, but it is also a very personal album about womanhood and friendship and fame and all of the kind of complicated things that come with that. And it also coincided with this moment in culture, or maybe like gave a voice to this moment in culture that I think we are currently in, which is, we are we're well post lean in when it comes to kind of popular feminism, but we're also, I think, like starting to become a bit more critical of this girls supporting girls no matter what. All women should be friends with one another at all times in order for feminism to work, and I guess just the sort of like the.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The cultural platitudes that come from when mainstream and popular media try to boil down an idea like feminism or like, female solidarity and friendship, and or success even, and what success looks like in the music industry and otherwise. And I think that we're in a moment in culture right now, or she's giving a voice to that kind of countercultural instinct to push back against that, or to question that, or to introduce a bit of reality into that. I think Pratt did such a good job of, kind of towing the line of that edge. And, Mean Girls, the song Mean Girls kind of comes to mind. It is an edgy song, and she has edge on this album, like to write a song about your relationship with Lord that is kind of fueled by jealousy and insecurity, and to not only release it, but then have her on the song, I think is so indicative of something. And I think that did a lot for a lot of women, because, and I think I said this on the podcast when we were kind of sharing our initial thoughts, it can sometimes feel as a woman and as a feminist quite shameful to have, these very competitive thoughts about other women, or, the kind of constant comparison, because you're not supposed to be doing that anymore. And just in the same way that you're not supposed to be, you're only ever supposed to be thinking about your body in a way that is positive. Like body positivity is something that, like, if you are not engaging with that, then you are problematic. So then there's just so much, and she has that on this album as well. There's a line where she says, I'm always thinking about my weight. And I think it's just like, it's a really, really effective way of taking the things that, very well-meaningly we in culture have tried to, instill into ourselves and into younger people, body positivity, women supporting women, don't compare yourself to others. And she's just questioning that and saying, well, how can I not do those things? I'm a person, I'm a human being. It is incredibly difficult to not do those things. And as well, I think what's so interesting is the presence of drugs on the album as well. And I think that maybe that's not something, it's maybe a bit of a meme, but it's not something I think that is like talked about a lot. I want to shout out a video essay by a guy called Alexander Avila, I think is how you say his surname, or Avila. He's a young guy on YouTube, makes brilliant video essays. Young guy, sociologist, I think, by studying, like his degree was in sociology, but just really, really excellent quality video essays. And he has an essay called Pratt and the Culture of Addiction, which came out 3 weeks ago. And actually another shout out to a video he had, which is 2.5 hours long, called This Video Isn't Just About Taylor Swift, It's About You. But really brilliant. But he kind of talks about the, drugs and the culture of addiction, but also, addiction being something a bit broader on this album, and especially the idea of romanticizing things, and he breaks down everything as romantic in a really brilliant way. But anyway, that's a digression. Yeah, I think like Pratt was a really it was one of those albums for me that don't come along every year. Like every year I'll obviously have a favorite album, but Pratt was like genuinely like really meaningful to me this year. Like I really felt like I grew through that, and it was part of me is like through the album trying to loosen up a little bit and trying to just kind of have a little bit more fun. And listeners will know, like post-COVID I still find going out kind of difficult, but like that, so there's that side of me. But then there was also me being around the same age as Charli, and some of the things she's talking about to do with like relationships and marriage and babies and all those kind of expectations are also very much present in my circle and orbiting me. And it was just so great to have someone who sounds like you talking about that, and giving a voice to it. And I think it's going to be really meaningful for a lot of people, the Gen Zers who are growing up with this album now. I think when they get to their 30s, this album is going to sound completely different to them, and it's going to impact them in a new way again. And I think that's so special. There's such longevity in this, we might talk about it as like a cultural phenomenon, a flash in the pan or whatever, but I think this is a genuinely really important 21st century album in terms of representing the anxieties of people kind of all ages. But yeah, that's my that's my rant.
I see that. And also, I mean, you were talking about addiction and drugs, obviously a lot of references on the record, like you said, but I think also this has become a bit of a totem for those who are bracing the hedonism of going out after post-COVID, especially younger people. Like it's become a soundtrack for that. It's become the de facto soundtrack, perhaps.
And
so
that's
and
not
also
new,
a pushback maybe to the Taylor Swiftigeddon of it all. Do you know what I mean? Like as in Taylor's so ubiquitous in popular culture, but also in young peer groups as well. So if you're looking for something to define yourself against that, something like Brat is something you could really latch onto. It's like being a brat. It's like it's being the mean girl as well. I mean, on a basic like simple level, it's like you can use that as many people have, like
and just the recognition that there are different ways to live and be a woman, and some women are mean girls and not everyone likes them, but they exist. And and with the drugs thing, it's interesting. We are in a global sort of, but particularly in the United States and in the UK and Ireland, in this this cost of living crisis, the idea of a recession is very much looming, and that hedonism, that sort of going to the club and forgetting your problems is not a new thing when we look at kind of pop cultural trends. It's like the is it called like the lipstick indicator or something? The poorer people are, and the brighter or bolder lipstick colors tend to be, because you don't have much, but you can have a very easy and quick jolt of something that feels glamorous, that is tangible. And I think that that's also on Brat as well. There is this like massive amount of escapism, especially when you get towards the end of when you circle back around and you're into 365, and it's just like it is truly a magnificent piece of work. And like, even had the Brat summer not happened, even had we not had this entire cultural moment that permeated everything from like the TG Carr Instagram profile picture to Kamala Harris to like it really was everywhere. Even had we not had that, I really do think that this is like one of the most like important and forward thinking and creative and enterprising and like just what's the word, just totally individual album So yeah, I mean, let's play a song from it. I've chosen 2 songs, but if you want to highlight one of your faves,
I'm happy with your choices.
You're happy with my
happy
choices,
with your
okay?
choices. Yeah.
This one,
and also like literally, sorry to bring it full circle as well, on what we were talking about. Literally the full viral moment of actually creating a viral TikTok dance. Not that she created it, but like starting with her label going, you need to create viral content. The song Apple became a viral TikTok trend, dance trend. Not that she did it, but it happened because the byproduct of the popularity of the record as well. So, but yeah, let's play a bit of Sympathy is a Knife.
Yeah. Something that only occurred to me like last week when I was listening to that song was, you know, obviously the use of the vocal. Just to say, the creator of the Apple Dance is called Kelly Hayer, a New York actor and content creator. And she makes up lots of dances. I follow her on TikTok and she has very nice outfits too. So if anyone's into that sort of content, follow Kelly Hayer. But yeah, the vocal, what's it called? Autotune. Use of autotune is obviously like very present on the album. It's a feature of the kind of the hyperpop genre, but I think it's used particularly on that track. It sort of only occurred to me last week. You know, she's talking about not being able to be like this other, you know, nameless pop star who we don't know who she is, who's, you know, very natural and all these things. And here's Charli using like autotune to the max because she has to be in some way fake. She can't be like, she has to alter herself in order to, you know, create. And I think that's just a really clever thing to do, to be like, well, look, here's me trying to be myself. And I'm surrounded by all of this kind of electronic stuff. And I'm feeling, you know, a bit lesser because of that, you know, and a lot of people make her feel lesser because of that. And a lot of artists like her as well. And, you know, the use of like the creative use, like of autotune as an instrument is something that is still not like really that accepted by people. People have a lot of problems with it. They think that it's only something that's used for pitch correction by, you know, usually female pop stars. So yes, Sympathy is a Knife is a song that I really love. It was one of the songs that really hit me early, you know, on the first listen. I was like, oh, this is new. This is exciting. This is genuinely speaking to me about something that I haven't heard someone put into words yet. Or like maybe Jolene is like, but this also isn't about romance. It's not about fighting for your space with a man. It's about, you know, feeling like you're not good enough to live in kind of, you know, somebody else's pop world. And I think that's it's a very brave song. And my favorite song from the album, we're not featuring Von Dutch actually, but it was a single, but like Von Dutch won the best song of the year. Just
Indie Sleaze pop hit of the year.
Just unbelievable. But 365 was in my top 5 played.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you again to specify what it is about this that you picked over the 360 that you loved. Like, what is it that identifies this one as your favorite?
Oh, yeah. So I love that you're coming back around to 360, and I think it's very much in conversation with 360, which is also a song that I love. It just arrives at the end of an album. I think the story of the album ends really well with 365 because, you know, she's you meet her at the beginning of the album. She is, you know, you've got 360, Von Dutch, those songs that are very hyper sort of confident, you know, I'm your favorite reference, baby. Like, you know, it's okay to just admit that you're jealous of me. And here she is. And then peppered through it, you get things like I Might Say Something Stupid. And then you're really moving into like a more personal Charli, where she's having conversations with her fiance about stopping her birth control and not feeling like she belongs in the industry and wanting to give up and feeling embarrassed that she calls the paparazzi. And you get to know her and get to know her and get to know her more. And then at the end, you find her back in the club, but she is a chained Charli in this club. Like this Charli in the club on 365 is a bit of a mess. Like she's having fun, but she's also like, you can feel the baggage of that whole album. It's so desperate for the next thing. It's so desperate to kind of find where the fun is, and almost like afraid to not be where the fun is, you know? And I think that that's something that is probably very relatable to a lot of people, you know, trying to get back something of like, oh, I'm really trying to do some escapism here. And, you know, should we do a little key? Should we do a little line? Obviously, there's just this sort of like, it's almost a mania in it. And it's a banger. And I still have not danced out to it, and I can't wait to do it. But I think in the context of the album, it's wrapping it up in this way where it's like, oh, we're back here. Like our way of dealing with everything we've just done is to try being the operative word, to go out and party and forget about it. But I think that it doesn't quite work, because you just become a mess. Like you just become like totally gone out of it. And I think that's I just think that's a really clever way, because not only have you made like an absolute banger of a song that people can dance to in the club, but you're also like wrapping up this story, this journey of this woman in her early 30s who's trying to balance like being a party girl, being a pop star, and also being, you know, a human woman with feelings and insecurities. And yeah, so that's why I love 365, beyond just the like, it's just so delicious to listen to. Like it's like every time it kind of amps up and steps up, I'm like, oh my God. I remember posting earlier in the year and I was like, if I keep listening to 365, I'm in serious danger of going to a nightclub, which remains true, to be honest. And I think she sounds so cool.
If you come to Lumo, I'll play this for you. Jesus Christ, come on.
And I think she sounds so cool on it. I think her vocal delivery is great on it. I think, you know, and there's so many like iconic little lines on it. Like she's really mastered that on this album, but particularly on this track. Like it's just like dial 999, it's a good time. Who the fuck are you? I'm a brat when I'm bumping that. Like that's like, what is that? You know, that's just a series of insane words that somehow are, like, because of everything you've just listened to, make complete sense, because you're in this world and you're like, yeah. I'm here. I'm in the club with you, Charli. Like, let's get fucked up. So that's
never go home. Don't sleep. Don't eat.
Yeah. Like, and those are, that's not like, that's not ideal. Like, that's not a way to live.
You're worried for Charli now.
But when you're in it, it's everything. But it's like, never go home, don't sleep, don't eat, just do it on repeat, keep bumping that. It's like, oh, you okay, girl? Are you okay? Like, I'm here with you. I'm in the club. I'm having a good time. But like, is everything okay? And I think this song captures both sides of the album because of that. So that's why I choose this over 360.
Okay, let's play it.
Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line? Wanna go real wild when I'm meet me in the bathroom if you're 365 party girl. French manicure, wipe away the residue, push my hair back, look hot when I'm. No, I really don't stop when I'm gonna jump when it drops when I'm. Dial 999, it's a good time. Who the fuck are you? I'm a brat when I'm bumping that. No, I wanna hit my track. Are you bumping that? Till the windows crack. I'll be. No, I'll never go home. Don't sleep, don't eat, just do it on repeat. Keep. When I'm in the club, yeah, I'm 365 party girl. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little wine? Wanna go real wild when I'm. Meet me in the bathroom if you're 365 party girl. French manicure, wipe away the residue, push my hair back, look hot when I'm. No, I really don't stop when I'm. Gonna jump when it drops when I'm. Dial 999, it's a good time. Who the fuck are you? I'm a brat when I'm bumping that. No, I wanna hit my track. Are you bumping that? Till the windows crack, I'll be bumping that. No, I'll never go home, don't sleep, don't eat. Just do it on repeat, keep. When I'm in the club, yeah, I'm 365 party girl. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line when I'm real wild? When I'm meet me in the bathroom if you're
yeah, that is 365. One of the other things that occurred to me there that I didn't say yet was that what I love about 365 is that it does, when it starts, feel like the closing credits as well. It has that feel to it. And I don't know what it is musically that I was trying to identify there and I couldn't quite capture it. It's like, it just has a closing credits feel to it. And I don't know what that is. And I want to interrogate that a bit more. If anybody has any ideas, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, it just has that feel. Maybe it's just a bit more like there's a bit of reverb on it. It's like, it's less, it just starts in that way that feels like this is the reprise kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the thing that happens when, when you go to a musical and they return later to the overture that you heard and you're like, you get an immediate kind of hit of something because you're like, oh, I recognize this. This is something that I heard earlier. So there's going to be some kind of connection here. But yeah, no, I think I know what you mean. There is a kind of a graininess or something to it that makes it feel like it's a closing credits on a teen film or something. That's what it makes me think of. But yeah, Pratt, man. I mean, look, what else is there to say that hasn't already been said? It's a tremendous,
it's still giving.
Brilliant
it's still
album.
Giving.
I'm gonna have a Pratt Christmas, maybe a Pratt Spring next year. Who knows?
Yeah, we're gonna keep on with the Pratt. Like you said last week, we are not sick of it yet.
No,
even though we kind of should be, but we're not.
Absolutely, like it has all of the hallmarks of something that we should have been sick of months ago. Like, there's been footage from the tour and everything. And, like we have these cycles of things like when Harry Styles was on tour, it was like nothing but Harry Styles. And then when Taylor Swift, good night, 22 months of the Eras tour. And with Charli, for like half of the year, we've been talking about this album. And yet I'm still in it. I'm still listening to it like extremely regularly, Yeah. So yeah, Pratt is our Niall and Niall podcast album of the year. Probably a surprise to no one, but hopefully we communicated why we think that's so.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It has been a Pratt year, and I mean, just like for all the reasons you mentioned, that's why it's important. And it's funny, like I haven't really seen the album. It's been kept, maybe because of its ubiquity, it's been kept away from the top of a lot of the charts that I've seen.
It got a couple, but who did Pitchfork give it to?
Did they give it to the Cindy Lee album? Possibly.
They did.
Yeah. But yeah.
It hovers around two or three on most.
It was also when it was nominated for the Mercury, I was like, surely that's going to win. I was like, actually, no, it's too obvious. That's not the way these
which is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, because under all of this, cultural ubiquity and this big moment is a truly astonishing album, a truly brilliant album. So yeah, let that not be lost. Yeah, plenty more albums still to be recommended from myself. That's all I'm doing for the rest of the month, pretty much. And also we're doing our guest lists, favourite songs of 2024. We've had Keena Cueve on so far, Carla Chubb of Sprints, Jim Carroll today, loads more coming, Kellyanne Byrne. Who else is doing a list for me? Roche, David Kitt, Niamh Regan. Won't mention too many others in case they don't end up doing them. Sure.
Just in case. Connor from Villagers has one. Rory Sweeney.
You're just mentioning the reliable people. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ones I have. I have. And Dave Balfour, for those I love as well, has said he will send me one. So, if he doesn't, that's fine. But he has the last 2 years. I'm always interested to see what people pick for their top 10 tracks. You always discover something in those lists as well, and in a way it's kind of the thing I look forward to the most, because it's not coming from me. I love I hope that people discover music through the lists that we do, but the other part of it is it's really nice to hear what other people are really into and to discover things to listen to over the next few months as well. So that's the second part of our trilogy of Best of 2024. If you like what we're doing here and you like to listen to the 909 podcast, and you've definitely heard this before, but patreon.com/909, come and join us there. Through the Patreon, you from a $5 a month, you get an access link to the Discord where you can join us and talk to like-minded music people who are based largely in Dublin, also Ireland as a whole. There's a couple of people in Cork,
Amsterdam, I think maybe
there's a
Berlin.
few around the world. I think there's an Australia person there as well somewhere. So anyway, there are people, small nice group of people who are chatting and hanging out occasionally in real life. So that is a thing that's happened. So you can join us there if you're looking for an actual music community that exists online. That's where we are, and that's where you can find it. Andrea, thanks so much. And
thanks, Niall. We'll be back soon with our
final episode
of
the
awards.
Year. Yes, our awards ceremony, our 909 Music Awards. It's all and everything. We're going to be covering all the stuff that wasn't covered here, giving out awards to whatever. Maybe will we? I hear the sax stork has told me that there will be a sax award.
There will be
best sax solo award.
We've not missed one yet.
On the next.
Every year, I think it's our only constant is a sax
Do you know?
solo.
I think it's so funny because you think I wouldn't every year. I'd be like, yeah, I'll bank that one for later in the year. And then it comes to the week of and I'm always like, I've forgotten all the songs. I've forgotten all the songs I was going to pick for the awards. I need to do something about that somehow. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It'll be a fun episode. Right. It'll be our final episode of the year. And then we're going to take a break after that for Christmas and most of January.
And just to say, if anyone has any recommendations or award ideas that they want to nominate, podcast@909.com, you can shoot us a line, and also in the Discord, you can let us know in the Discord.
Yeah, we're all ears. Okay, lovely. Thanks for listening to the 909 podcast, and we'll be back next week.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
We all have that one friend whose opinion we trust on everything. For 63% of podcast listeners, that friend is their favorite podcast host. When Acast's podcasters endorse a brand, their audience listens and takes action. So, if you want a recommendation that really sticks, put your brand in their hands. Book a host-read sponsorship today by visiting go.acast.com/ads.
Thanks for listening to the 909 podcast. If you like what we do, why not consider supporting us at patreon.com/909.